Many of you have been asking, what happened to the aunt who saved those girls? And did Uncle Dominic ever face the consequences? Well, today we finally revealed it all. This is the powerful continuation of their story. If you haven't watched part 1, check the description or the pinned comment for the link. Also, let me know where you're watching from. The once proud Uncle Dominic sat alone in the boys' quarters of the mansion he used to call his own. The air inside was stale. The walls were bare. The mattress on the floor sagged in the middle, and the single window let in more mosquitoes than breeze. Every sound from the main house reminded him of what he had lost. The laughter of the girls, now women, echoed through the compound like thunder in his ears. He had expected them to throw him out in revenge. Instead, they allowed him to stay, but the generosity stung more than hatred ever could. Each day, Ada walked past him in her fitted black suits, calm and successful. Chisholm drove in and out with clients visiting her for fittings. Nosy songs played softly on the car radio every morning as she left for church rehearsals. It was more than his pride could handle. One morning, as he washed the single shirt he had left, two neighbors passed by and whispered loudly, "Is that not Uncle Dominic, the same man that threw his nieces out? Now look at him." He turned away, hands trembling. Shame had settled on him like a second skin. It was everywhere, in the way people looked at him, and how the maidguard at the gate no longer stood to greet him, and how even the gardener pretended not to notice him. By the end of the week, he had made his decision. He would leave. He packed the little he owned into a torn travel bag and scribbled a note on the back of a torn calendar page. "Thank you for your kindness, but I cannot stay. I am going to the village. Uncle Dominic." He left the note on a plastic stool outside the boys' quarters and slipped away at dawn. The journey to the village was quiet and painful. As the rickety bus bounced over potholes, Dominic stared out the window, haunted by memories. He remembered when he used to drive his brother's car to this same village, full of pride, boasting to the elders about the family mansion in Enugu. Now he returned with nothing. When he finally arrived at the family compound, the gate was open, but the silence was unnerving. He knocked gently on the wooden door of the elder's hut. One of the cousins, now the oldest man in the family, opened it. His eyes widened in surprise, but not the kind Dominic hoped for. "You came," the elder said. His tone was not warm. "I had to," Dominic replied, his voice shaky. "I've lost everything." The elder nodded slowly. "We heard." That evening, a meeting of the village elders was called. The compound was filled with men, gray-haired, weathered by time, and full of quiet wisdom. Dominic sat in their midst, his hands folded in his lap. The eldest among them, a man called Paul Corey, cleared his throat. "Dominic," he began, "we received word of what happened in Enugu. Is it true that you threw your brother's daughters out after his death?" Dominic looked down. "Yes, but No need to explain," another elder cut in. "You dishonored your brother's memory. He was a good man. He raised those girls alone after their mother passed, and you, his own blood, treated them like orphans without a name." "They were children, Dominic," Paul Corey said sternly. "You threw them to the street." Dominic's eyes welled with tears. "I thought I was following tradition. That property, it should have come to me." A heavy silence followed. Then Paul Corey stood. "A man who hides behind culture to commit cruelty is no man at all. You are no longer welcome at our gatherings. From today, you are banned from every family meeting, every community council, every celebration or burial in this village. Your name will not be called at any roll. You have brought shame upon our bloodline." Dominic gasped. "You can't do that. I have nowhere else to go." "We didn't send you away," another elder said coldly. "Your own heart did. Now you must live with what you've done." Dominic collapsed to his knees. "Please, I have no one." "That's what you left those girls to feel," Paul Corey replied. "And still, they rose without you." The meeting ended without ceremony. As the elders stood and walked away, no one looked back. Dominic remained on his knees long after the compound emptied. The full weight of what he had done and what he had lost finally settled on him. He had gambled his family for pride, and in return, he earned a legacy of shame. The road to Nsukka had never felt shorter. It had been nearly 10 years since the sisters last stepped foot in the dusty streets of their aunt's compound. But this time, they didn't arrive in tears or shame. They came in grace, dressed in fine clothes and riding in 2 black SUVs. The once timid girls who had left the village in a driver's car now returned as women of dignity, success, and purpose. Inside the house, Aunt Ifoma was in the kitchen stirring a pot of okra soup when one of her children rushed in. "Mommy, cars have come! Big ones!" She wiped her hands on a wrapper and hurried to the door, heart pounding. She hadn't received any visitors in years, especially not the kind who came in air-conditioned jeeps. And then she saw them. Ada, radiant in a navy blue jumpsuit, stepping out of the first SUV with her arms open wide. Behind her, Chisom emerged, wearing a mustard yellow gown she had sewn herself. And from the second vehicle, Nosi came down last, clutching a bouquet of fresh flowers and beaming with joy. "Auntie Ifoma!" Nosi cried out. For a long second, Aunt Ifoma stood frozen, lips trembling, tears threatening. Then she ran toward them, arms flung wide. They met in the middle of the compound, collapsing into a long, tearful hug that said everything words never could. "My babies," she whispered, touching their cheeks like a mother reunited with her lost children. "Look at you. You kept your promise." They took her inside and presented gifts, bags of groceries, new wrappers, a smartphone, and an envelope thick with cash. But that was just the beginning. That evening, as they sat on plastic chairs under the mango tree, Ada spoke. "Auntie, we didn't come just to say thank you. We came to take you with us. You're not staying here anymore." Aunt Ifoma blinked, unsure she had heard right. "Me? Go where?" "To Lagos," Chisom said gently. "We've built a home there. You'll live with us." "But my children, your uncle, our life is here." "We're taking all of you," Nosi added quickly. "Your 5 children already have spots in good schools, private schools, no more broken benches and torn notebooks." "And Uncle?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ada smiled softly. "He's going to be offered a job, logistics coordinator in a transport company I invested in. The salary will cover rent, food, everything." Aunt Ifoma covered her mouth with both hands. Her shoulders shook as she began to cry. Deep, uncontrollable sobs from a heart that had never expected this kind of reward. "You girls," she gasped between tears. "I only did what any mother would do. I couldn't watch my brother's children suffer."
"And because of that, our lives changed," Ada said, her own voice shaky. "You sheltered us when no one else would. You gave us your home, your food, your love. Now we want to give you the same." Within a week, the family relocated to Lagos. Their new home was a 2-story duplex in a quiet, gated estate. Auntie Foma was given the master bedroom with her own private bathroom and a view of the garden. Her wardrobe was stocked with brand new clothes, many of them custom-made by Chisom. She didn't have to lift a finger in the kitchen unless she wanted to. A cleaner came twice a week. Nosi ordered her favorite soup from a local restaurant every Sunday after church. And for the first time in her life, Auntie Foma had peace. Her husband, now employed and earning well, began to walk with pride. He bought new tools for his trade, opened a small repair center, and started training apprentices. Their children blossomed in school. Her first son was quickly identified as a math genius and enrolled in a scholarship program. Her daughter joined the school's culinary club and dreamed of becoming a chef. Auntie Foma herself became a quiet symbol of grace. In church, she sat proudly beside her 3 daughters, as she now called them. People whispered about how lucky she was, but she always corrected them. It's not luck, it's love returned. One day, during a family dinner, Ada raised a glass. "To the woman who never gave up on us, to our second mother, to our miracle." They all raised their glasses, and Auntie Foma wiped her eyes. "I never asked for a reward," she said, "but God saw. He saw. And He did. Because the woman who once had only love to give now had a life full of it in return." The village was quiet again. Chickens scratched the red soil. Old men sat beneath mango trees playing draughts. But in a corner of that sleepy place, Uncle Dominic lived in silence and shame. He had rented a tiny mud-walled room beside a run-down shop with a roof that leaked whenever it rained and a wooden door that creaked like a dying man's breath. Every morning he fetched water with a rusted jerry can from the community stream, his head bowed low to avoid the stares of villagers. But even when he looked up, no one greeted him. He had become a shadow, a living warning. Children whispered about him. Elders pretended not to see him. At the village square, when cola nuts were shared during meetings, no one handed any to him. He had been cut off, excommunicated not by force, but by rejection. One afternoon, while trying to buy a measure of gari, the seller, a young woman who once called him uncle, said plainly, "We don't sell to people who curse their own blood." He stood frozen for a moment, then turned and walked away, hands shaking. His heart had become a cage of regret. Back in his small room, Dominic wrote letters, long, painful letters filled with apologies, explanations, and pleas for forgiveness. One of those letters he sent to Lagos. It arrived in a white envelope addressed simply to Ada and sisters. When Ada received it, she hesitated before opening it. They were in the living room, the family just finishing dinner. Auntie Foma was helping Nosi pick a song for Sunday worship. Chisom was sketching a new dress design.
Ada read the letter silently, then handed it to her sisters without a word. "My daughters, if I may still call you that, I am writing this with a heart heavier than the shame I now carry every day. I know I wronged you. I know I cannot undo what I did. But please believe me, I was foolish. I was proud. I was wrong. I beg for your forgiveness, not because I deserve it, but because I cannot live without it. I am tired. I am alone. No one wants to speak to me, and I do not blame them. I do not ask for money or shelter. I only ask that you forgive me. Dominic." There was a long silence after Chisom finished reading it aloud. Nosy, ever soft-hearted, sighed deeply. "He sounds like a man who has truly broken." Chisom shrugged. "He's broken because he got caught, not because he's changed." Aunt Ifeoma, sitting quietly all along, finally spoke. "Forgiveness is not for him. It's for you, so you don't carry bitterness that eats your joy." Ada nodded slowly. "We will forgive him, but from a distance. He will not come back into our lives. We've healed too much to let the wound reopen." They all agreed. A letter was drafted and mailed back, short but kind. "Dear Uncle Dominic, we forgive you. We pray you find peace and healing. But we are moving forward. May you also learn to live differently from now on. Ada, Chisom, Nosy." Back in the village, Dominic read the reply and wept. He held the letter to his chest and sat by the window for hours, staring out into nothing. He would never be a part of their lives again, but at least they no longer hated him. And that, in his lonely world, was a kind of mercy. Meanwhile, in Lagos, life blossomed like never before. Aunt Ifeoma became a beloved matriarch, known in the community for her story and her strength. She often sat on the veranda, watching her grandchildren play while her daughters bustled through their successful lives. One Sunday, Ada was invited to speak at a televised women's leadership conference. The hall was filled with dignitaries and young girls eager to learn. She stood at the podium, wearing a tailored blue blazer, her voice steady. "My sisters and I were thrown out because we were girls. People said we had no inheritance. But today, we've built more than just wealth. We've built a legacy. And we owe everything to the woman who took us in when no one else would." She looked down at the front row, where Aunt Ifeoma sat in her head wrap and gold-trimmed lace, wiping tears from her eyes. "She is our mother, and this victory is hers too."